Hey, what's up, YouTube? Goratha here. Today I want to talk about Hollow Palm. So I've been playing Hollow Palm Invoker for around 2 weeks now, and I wanted to show you guys the build. It's been really fun to play. It's been super strong. It has interesting progression, and yes, I want to talk about it real quick. So this is gonna be a kind of like a mini guide. I'm gonna go over through like what I actually did to play the character early on, and like how it progressed end game. The end game has been insane. The leveling was one of the best leveling experiences I've ever had. All the bosses in the campaign were perma-frozen and then killed. It's super tanky, like ridiculously tanky. Like I have 20,000 evasion, I have like 60% chance to deflect, and I'm also like 7k ES with CI, and then we also have meditate. The character is super tanky, and then we're one-shotting T4 bosses. Yeah, the character's just been insane. Every step of the way, it's been very strong. And I went Hall of Palm as soon as I could on the tree, which is like level 15-ish, with very little gear. I'll kind of talk about some of the best leveling gear for the character, but you pretty much don't really need anything, which is kind of surprising to me because everyone I talked to early on was like, Hall of Palm is going to be bad for leveling, and it kind of sucks compared to staff. But I gotta be honest, I kind of felt the opposite. Hall of Palm scales so well with evasion that you get so much attack speed, and the campaign was really, really smooth. Maybe it's because I play casters a lot, but the campaign was one of the smoothest campaigns I've ever had. Yeah, let's get into it. So, how did I level the character until 15? This is a question that a lot of people have been asking me, and I figured I'd go over it real quick. It's nothing too crazy. Effectively, you're going to be using a lot of auto attack. Auto attack combined with things like rapid attacks and rage, but essentially using Falling Thunder from level 1 in combination with Killing Palm. Actually, it might be easier to show you guys in game here. Let me get this open. Okay, so super early on, auto attack is your main single target, which is kind of dumb, but I mean, it kind of is what it is. You're going to be using Killing Palm along with Falling Thunder. Killing Palm gives you power charges when you call an enemy, and then Falling Thunder has massive damage and clear. We'll end up using this later on as well, but Falling Thunder is very early on and then very like end game, basically, for this build. Yeah, Killing Palm and Falling Thunder along with auto attack. Once you get Tempest Spell, you use Tempest Spell on anything that doesn't die instantly. And also there is Frost Bomb. Frost Bomb should be used as soon as possible. This gives you exposure for all elements now after the patch. The Frost Bomb is really good. You need to make sure you keep this high level though, because it does fall off. Like you can see on the bottom line here, it cannot apply exposure to enemies of level higher than 29. You have to make sure you keep leveling it up, which requires Int, which is actually fine because Ice Strike is a hybrid skill and you need Int anyways. So it's kind of fine. You can keep leveling it up. It's not too hard to do. Okay, so essentially you're gonna be auto attacking Tempest Spell, killing Palm occasionally on monsters when you're running through the zones, and then Falling Thunder for big clear. Staggering Palm is something I really actually enjoyed using for like the early game and also mid game. Like near the end of the campaign, I was still using Staggering Palm. This works really well because you stun pretty easily early on, and it adds projectiles to your attacks. It gives you like a buff if you heavy stun with it. So you're basically running around attacking with your Ice Strike or auto attack, and then you get like a heavy stun, you use Staggering Palm, it gives you like this big buff that you just run around and clear everything with projectiles. It works really well with Ice Strike, especially. Now, I did end up dropping Staggering Palm as soon as I got Shattering Palm, but this is a level 40 gym, so you can't really use it early on. So yeah, basically Staggering Palm until you can get Shatter Palm. Shatter Palm is a dash attack. It dashes pretty far actually, so you can kind of move around with it. And this is your massive clear ability. So you dash around, you apply this massive AoE debuff on enemies, and when you do enough damage, you'll shatter the debuff and it'll blow everything up in combination with Herald of Ice, which is your main way of clearing endgame is Herald of Ice plus Shattering Palm. Yeah, Herald of Ice is really good. Shattering Palm's really good. Ice Strike's really good. The whole build is honestly insane. That's kind of how I leveled early on though. Now past the early act, once you get Hollow Palm, you can switch to Ice Strike right away. Ice Strike combo with the Staggering Palm. This is your massive like clear early on. You still use Tempest Spell pretty much the entire time until the combo setup, which is like a super endgame setup, which I'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, Tempest Spell, very strong. You do add in a Hand of Sheila eventually. This is a higher level gem. It's level 36, I believe. This applies your marks and curses. So you can link it to like Phrasing Mark, Sniper's Mark if you want to go crit. I recommend Freezing Mark because it's really nice to freeze campaign bosses. And yeah, and then have Ally Weakness for your curse. And it applies both of them with way lower mana cost and increased duration and effect. And the Trio is really good. This just like replaces your curse basically. Now, what are you focusing on the tree? So early on, the most important thing to realize is that percent damage is all of your damage, for Hollow Palm especially. So anything that gives percent attack damage is really good, like for example, Concussive Attack, Killer Instinct, Blinding Strike. These are all massive nodes. The Monk's Dart is also very strong as well. Things like Flow State, Essence of the Mountain, Essence of the Storm, all these are really good nodes. You can take Life on Kill and Mana on Kill if you want, through Siphon and Life from Death. I honestly didn't really feel the need to, but it's 2 points. If you're struggling with Sustain while clearing, Life from Death's pretty good. Attack speed is also quite good early on, especially. So just grab all the attack speed and attack damage you can. That's the main way you're scaling it until you go crit later. Hollow Palm gains 0.1 base crit per 10 energy shield on your gear. So in the campaign, I recommend it's going pure evasion gear until like end of the campaign, basically. Once you enter maps, you want to have hybrid gear, or like near the end of the campaign, you want to have hybrid gear. Like so my early Act 1, my gear looked like this. I had some armor. I did have ES on my Dancing Mirage chest piece, which is a really good leveling item. I would recommend getting this. It has high evasion, and you take away less damage. But generally, the off pieces should just be pure evasion. This will give you the most damage and defenses early on. Once you go into maps and like end of campaign, you want to look for a high ES helmet and ES hybrid chests. This is the kind of the gear you're looking for, and still pure evasion on your gloves and boots, ideally. ES helmet's really, really good because you get the note on the tree. Subterfuge Mask later, which gives a lot of evasion as well. This doesn't apply to your Hollow Palm damage, but it's just super good for like defensive stats, so that's why I recommend going pure ES helmet. And then you'll eventually transition into crit later, but early on you're focusing on attack damage, attack speed, stuff like that. Now Walker the Wilds is how we'll be recovering mana. So before you get this node, you kind of need to use a mana pot. And mana pot throughout the entire game, honestly, because the monk skulls are really high mana cost and you attack really fast. This gives you mana leech based on Fizz Leech, so you get like Fizz Leech on a ring or gloves, and you take Walker the Wilds, basically, as soon as possible. And then a lot of evasion on the tree. So these evasion nodes are quite good, actually. They give a lot of deflection, and this makes you super tanky. And honestly, damage was really not a problem for me, so I went for the defensive nodes because I was playing hardcore. Dizzying hits and Stupefy are very good. You could take these nodes first if you're playing softcore instead of the evasion. I did feel like I needed dexterity early on throughout the campaign because I was leveling all my int gems up, and dex and int kind of was a little bit of a problem at some point. I needed to look at a little extra attributes. You get that in gear, but these nodes are really good for early attributes as well. Later on, we're going to be transitioning to like entirely different tree, but oh yeah, these nodes right here are actually probably the best nodes to take if you don't want to take the evasion and the ES evasion. Going for True Strike, for the Jugular, Deadly Force. These are all like really, really good nodes, and I'm not sure why Crashing Wave is not clicked here, but you should definitely have Crashing Wave as well. Okay, so that's the early campaign and like all the skills and tree and stuff. My recommendation is to run Brisk Wrap into Dancing Mirage for your chest piece. Brisk Wrap is a I can find it here. A very high evasion chest piece. So your damage is actually based on your gear, like your defensive stats. So go for as much evasion as possible. Things like Wrist Grab, this high evasion rares, and Dancing Mirage is really good. I used this until I was like level 50, so yeah, it's a very strong chest piece. Obviously, you can eventually replace it, but it's very strong in the campaign. Also, flat damage rings. This is a massive part of your damage. Hollow Palm is a bit of a low flat ability because obviously you're getting way more attack speed. It's scaling insane amounts of attack speed later on, and with that in mind, you want flat damage even more than most builds on your rings and on your gloves. And you also want plus melee skill gems. So plus melee skill gems gives Hollow Palm even more flat damage and way more damage. So getting +1 on your gloves from the vendor early on is pretty easy. Getting +2 a little harder, but I would recommend looking for plus level amulet and gloves as soon as possible. If you're in Trade League, it shouldn't be too expensive to buy some of these. Massive damage boost. Do not forget to buy plus level gem gear. Okay, so once you enter maps, you're going to be running hybrid gear. And I swapped over to a combat frenzy setup with charge regulation. The main reason for this is I really like having the more skill speed with the friendly charge. And it was very easy to get frenzy charges through combat frenzy, because every time you freeze or ice strike, you get a frenzy charge. So it's essentially 14% more skill speed. Some people like to run Trinity. I kind of found it was impossible to get enough resonance because you don't have any fire damage. And I went for combat frenzy charge regulation instead. This is less spirit, but it is more gem slots. So I do think an unset ring is really good for this build. But yeah, your spirit gems are just pretty easy after before that. Like in the campaign, I didn't really talk about it, but you're gonna be running Herald of Ice, One Dancer, and Ghost Dance. More evasion, more clear, ES back when you get hit. Very strong defensive setup and damage setup. Like I said, Shattering Palm becomes really, really good for clear, so make sure you have this linked to Ancestral Call. This does have a little bit of a weird interaction where sometimes you like won't dash as well with the call going off because it does go from pretty far away. But it's really good because it adds a lot of extra damage. So if you don't like it, you can try something else out, but I do recommend it. And then I was trying Frozen Spite out. I did like it early on, but later on it was kind of replaceable. But you can play around with that as well. And then some AoE on it. So Shattering Palm is like I said earlier, it's the your main clear ability. It covers enemies in a big coat of ice, and then you can shatter it, doing massive damage. First time I played, I would like Shattering Palm, and then I would Shattering Palm a couple times, and use Ice Strike, and it just blows all screen up, basically. I did add Meditate in at some point because I was playing hardcore. If you're playing softcore, you don't have to take Meditate. It's really, really useful though, even in softcore. Just use Meditate whenever your ES is gone, especially once you go CI later. But you could take Unbound Avatar. Unbound Avatar is a on-use ability where you gain a bunch of extra damage after it stacks up, and you can use it. Very strong offensively, and even in the campaign, it's pretty good for bossing. You could also take I Am the Thunder if you want like a more of a passive boost. Thunder my enemies is really good, but you're not going crit early, so it doesn't really do anything at that point in the game. And yeah, like I said, gear plus flat damage, and then plus nice skill gems, and then as much evasion on your boots and gloves as possible, and then pure ES helmet, hybrid chest. Kind of the same thing throughout all the gear sets here. Nothing really changes in game. You just get better and better gear. You're looking for better and better stuff. I am planning on using an Ingenuity on the character. Ingenuity will give us even more flat damage. Super endgame, Dark's Enthroned with glove effect socket, along with massive attack speed gloves, would probably be the best damage in quality life. Another option to consider for like the super endgame. Yeah, once you swap this CI, you actually don't really change your gear setup too much. It's just getting better ES gear. And you still want to run really high evasion gear because of the way it scales with evasion, with Hollow Palm. So for example, my endgame boots are actually 1,000 evasion, like 1,050 evasion. These are giving me like 42% more attack speed or something crazy like that. So you end up tagging it really, really fast, and it feels really good to play. The scaling on the character is absurd. And yeah, so the CI swap is going to happen around level 85. I recommend like the 85, 90. You do end up dropping a lot of damage on the tree. Like you drop all this like a crit stuff over here and stuff. So I wouldn't swap too early, otherwise it's going to feel a little weird. But going CI does give a couple advantages. You're immune to poison and bleed and chaos damage. So you're effectively immune to like, I don't know, like 25% of the damage in the game. Chaos damage is usually the rippiest for hybrid builds because chaos damage is double damage to ES. So this is a massive defensive boost. And also you ignore a bunch of map mods, which is pretty good. Past that, we also path by Heavy Frost. This node is really, really good, especially if you don't have Sunder my enemies here. Because this gives you a similar effect, but against frozen enemies. Then Ice is really good as well. You have like a lot of good nodes over here, like Reduced Curse Effect, attack speed, cost efficiency. Mana cost was a bit annoying for my character, but I was just using a mana pot throughout. And yeah, so that's pretty much a CI swap. Around level 90-ish, when I started getting to like the very high tier difficulty bosses, like 8, 10 points into my tree, tier 3 bosses, tier 4 bosses, whatever. This is when I swapped to a combo setup. This is probably the most overpowered setup in the game right now, or one of the most overpowered setups in the game. You can essentially like one-shot any boss in the game. And when I say one-shot, I mean you have a little bit of ramp-up time, but you will use one attack and it'll do 95% of the boss's HP. That's effectively how it works. So the way this actually works is you apply combo through having a gem linked with culmination. This gives your skills combo when you attack. You can't use the actual skill that's generating combo with culmination, but you can generate combo with any skill that's not linked to culmination. Culmination uses the combo you build from other skills though. This is when we add Falling Thunder back in. This becomes a massive single target, like nuke, basically. And the whole build becomes kind of based around that for single target. You build combo with Ice Strike or like Tempest Flurry, and then you use Falling Thunder. That's essentially how it works. Now, it's a little past that. It's a little more complicated. So we are adding Alias Chimes into Hand of Sheila along Culmination as well. This allows Hand of Sheila to also build combo. And then when you use Hand of Sheila at like 70 combo, you'll gain 7 power charges. 7 power charges is the motion on the tree. You get more power charges than that, but every 10 combo, you essentially get 1 power charge. My current tree, I'm actually not even taking the last power charge because I'm already one-shotting bosses anyways, but this is why the tree has a lot of power charges on it. We are basically using these for Falling Thunder to one-shot bosses. And yeah, it's pretty absurd. You attack the target a bit, you get combo, you use Hand of Sheila, you get a bunch of power charges, then you use Falling Thunder with your 70 plus combo or whatever. Now, I didn't mention it, but combo gives you 3% more damage per combo, so the attack speed from Hollow Palm actually scales really well at this setup. And yeah, you end up one-shotting bosses because Falling Thunder has 20% more damage per power charge consumed, and it gains a bunch of damage from using power charges in the first place. So it does a massive amount of damage, and it's pretty ridiculous, honestly. I'll show you some footage of me just one-shotting bosses, but it's insane. You can use Mantle of Destruction if you have an Unthreat Ring. This is very important to use after Hand of Sheila, so you don't buff the Hand of Sheila. This gives you it buffs your next attack, essentially. So you buff your combo, so you get combo with Ice Strike, then you use Hand of Sheila to get power charges and curse the enemy, and then you use Mantra right before you use Falling Thunder, and this will give it 70% damage with extra chaos. So you're essentially getting I don't know, like, this is like 70 combo, you're getting 210% more damage from that, you're getting 140% more damage from power charges, and then you're getting your curses, like Sniper Snark, 90% crit damage, and then like your Elliot weakness. You're getting a lot of extra damage, and then you're adding 70% damage on top of all that, so it's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, not much to say about it. The whole Palm build is really ramped pretty hard, and the clear is really nice, it attacks really fast. It's just absurd, honestly. The whole way through, it's just been absurd. I thought I'd show you guys this build and kind of share my thoughts on it and kind of how I played it. This is what I ended up doing, and yeah, it's gone really well. I figured I'd share with you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.